Yo, what's good boys, and welcome to episode 1 of the Kanye West Blueprint. In this episode, we're going to be covering My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, how the album was made, a little bit of history and background on the album, and of course, how we can make something similar. If you're new to the Blueprint series, this is the series in which we look at different artists, albums, and basically analyze how the music was made and how you can make something similar. So if that's something that you're interested in as a producer, or maybe just, someone who likes a good entertaining video, then of course, hit the subscribe button on this channel right now, turn on post notifications so you don't miss any of these videos, and you will not miss out. I've got an absolute banger for you guys today to welcome in the new series. Of course, if you want to watch the last series, we covered Travis Scott. There's 6 episodes for you to watch, and there's a dedicated playlist on my channel which you can watch right now, obviously after this video. In today's Blueprint, we are going to be making an absolute masterpiece, like something from My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. We're also going to be talking to the producer who produced Power off of the album, S1. And also, there is going to be a chance for one of you guys to win the project files for this beat like we did before. All you have to do to enter that is comment FLP below in the comments, and you can be in for a chance to win the project files. You get the stems, you get the FLP, all of that good stuff for you to play with. Without any more talking, let's get straight into this video. This series of the Blueprint is brought to you by Tracklib. Tracklib is an online record store for sampling, providing a growing catalogue of over 80,000 original songs and multi-tracks to choose from. One of the best things about Tracklib is that you know 100% you can clear the samples affordably and fast with literally no hassle for you or maybe any rappers or labels you're looking to work with. But why should you use Tracklib? Well, Tracklib will do many things, but probably most importantly, it's going to save you time. I've spent hundreds of hours over the years on YouTube browsing through playlist after playlist trying to find a good sample to use. Often these YouTube playlists are put together by people who really don't know much about sampling or music in general, whereas Tracklib only upload usable and quality music. You're probably thinking that Tracklib is only going to be useful to you if you only make boom bap or lo-fi beats. Well, that's where you're wrong. Check out this crazy trap beat I made in less than 10 minutes using a sample I found in this trap playlist on Tracklib. Let me show you how easy it is to find a sample with Tracklib. So there's a few ways you can find samples with Tracklib. You can search by all tracks, by collection, by genre, or even by a specific artist or label. I'm going to head into the all tracks section, which lets you pick from all 80,000 samples they have to offer. You can filter by the year the music was created, the BPM, the song key, genre, region, and more. So you can spend less time looking for samples and increase the time you spend making music. The sample I'm going to use for this Kanye beat is called Symphy Roof by Black Murder. I was inspired to use this sample because of the song Power by Kanye West, which samples Afro America by Continent Number 6. I did a bit of research into the Power sample, and I found that it was released in 1978 and in the disco genre. So I put that information into Tracklib and it found me this sample. Tracklib can also help chop the sample for you with their looping feature, which allows you to isolate a few bars of the sample and then download those specific chops. Some samples even come with multi-tracks, so you can get the stems and pick and choose which elements of the sample you want to use. You can sign up to Tracklib today using my link, giving you a free 30-day trial and 15 download credits, so you can get started instantly. You will still have to insert a payment method, but you will not be charged until the 31st day. You can cancel at any time during the free trial period, so even if you don't like what you see, it won't cost you anything. Be sure to click the link down in the description and check out what Tracklib can do for you. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is Kanye's 5th studio album, released back in 2010. In order to understand this album, we first need to look at what Kanye was going through in the period leading up to its release. The 2009 MTV Music Awards will always be remembered for Kanye's onstage outburst, following the award of Best Music Video being given to Taylor Swift. Following this event, we can compare the amount of backlash and criticism he received as being cancelled in today's world. all mainstream media, including tabloids, news channels, talk shows, and even other celebrities were coming after Kanye. This resulted in his upcoming 808s and Heartbreaks world tour with Lady Gaga to be cancelled, and I'm sure lots of other business opportunities put on hold. It is said Kanye was advised by those in his inner circle to disappear for a while, to leave the country and wait for this storm to subside. One of the main places Kanye visited during his leave of absence was Hawaii, which is where most of My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy was recorded. Kanye needed to make a huge comeback and win back the support and respect of his fans, the media and other artists. So to do this, he set out to make his magnum opus, or his best work yet. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy was the result. The album cost Kanye's label Def Jam over $3 million, making it one of the most expensive albums ever made. But it was money well spent, as Billboard named it the best album of the year, and it won Best Rap Album at the 2012 Grammy Awards. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is currently 3 times platinum in the US alone, and will go down in history as not only one of Kanye's best albums, but as one of the best albums of all time. It's easy to see why. Kanye put blood, sweat and tears into this album, claiming he spent over 5,000 man-hours on the track Power alone. If you want to learn more about the history of this album and how it came to be, I recommend you watch these videos. One word that comes to mind when listening to this album is epic. No song is bound by a specific genre, and instead incorporates elements and inspiration from all different styles of music, including psychedelic rock, pop, hip-hop and more. I believe Kanye's reasoning for this is wanting to make an album more than rap, more so a classic collection of music that people will be screaming in stadiums for decades to come. The song I think helps summarise this album well is All of the Lights, using all kinds of instruments such as trumpets, horns, saxophones, drums, pianos, numerous vocal stacks and percussion layers, and then layering them together to create an unbelievable soundtrack. The album was produced mainly by Kanye West, having co-produced almost every single song on there. The producers he worked with include S1, Mike Dean, RZA, No ID, Bink and more. So we know the history behind the album and the message, but how do we make something that would fit in on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy? Let's get into the must-haves for this blueprint. The first must-have for My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is layers. Your beat must be stacked with instrumentation such as piano, percussion, guitar, brass, synths, bass and more. Aim for between 7 to 12 different instruments on the big chorus section, and then proceed to strip away some for the verse sections or breakdowns. This is obviously if you're going for something big and powerful like the tracks All of the Lights and Power. However, if you're going for something a bit more rap orientated, then you can definitely shorten those numbers down to maybe 5. Next, you need to think about the BPM, key and scale. For my beat, I was modelling it after the track Power, so I went with 150 BPM. Most of the songs on this album are around that tempo, ranging from 140 to 170 BPM. I recommend the minor scale if you're going for the more sad/dark vibes, but if you want something more upbeat, then use the major scale. Another must-have is the structure has to be on point. There needs to be a few switch-ups and breakdown sections. Your beat has to be dynamic and powerful, so keep it interesting and get creative with each section of your beat. Make sure you leave adequate room for where you perceive Kanye's vocals would sit on the beat. You need Wu-Tang style boom bap drum samples for this style of beat. For my beat, I used a combination of the S1 My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy kit and also a Beat Butcher drum kit, as well as a few sounds from my own kits. The drums need to be bouncy and fairly repetitive, but be sure to put in a few breaks to make it sound a bit more realistic. Another must-have is vocal chops. For my beat, I took a few vocal samples from an old record and sampled them into my beat for added effect. You will hear this being done on tracks such as Power, Runaway, Hell of a Life and So Appalled. Last but most importantly, you need to use a sample of some kind. Look at old rock music from the 60s to 70s for those guitar elements. You can also look into some gospel music from around the same period for vocal elements or piano. Tracks such as Power, Devil in a New Dress, Gorgeous, Blame Game and more all feature samples in their production. So we know what we need to make and how to do it. Let's get straight into the beat making. So to start off this beat, we're going to be using a sample we found on Tracklib, and I really like this sample because of the vocal chants in it. It just really reminds me of the Power song. So once we've got the sample in time and everything, we want to start chopping it. So the way we do that is get it into Fruity Slicer, and you can see how we do that on screen right now. Once I'd found a pattern I liked, I basically just pitched the sample up a few semitones and sped it up a bit, and it sounds like this. I then went and found a second sample called Mardi Gras Party, and I really like this one just because of the drum kind of elements in it, and sort of like the vocals as well. Really easy to sample, so I just thought I'd put that in there as well. So we're going to start adding some sounds from S1, the producer who made Power, his kit, the My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy kit, which he has given us for this tutorial. If you guys want to get this kit, you can get it at 20% cheaper if you use my code at checkout. I'm going to be leaving the code on screen, and I'll also be leaving a link down in the description where you guys can check it out. I really recommend it. It has all of the sounds from Power and a bunch of other sounds he made while working on this album, so it's super accurate, and it really came in clutch for this beat. The first sound of which we used was this siren from the Power song. We're going to be adding a piano right now from Piano V2, just a standard kind of like studio grand piano, and these chords are basically what the beat is built around. I did these chords myself. It's in D minor, 150 BPM, and yeah, these are the chords. There is a little top line melody over the top as well. Next, we're going to be adding a few sounds from Flex. So for the strings, all I did was literally just copy and paste the piano melody in there. And with the bass element, we basically just took the root note of each of the chords and just had that in there as well. So it's just another layer of sound. And then combined with some claps, which we found in S1's kit again. These are the claps from the Power beat. They suit this beat really well and they sound really good. So I had to add them in there. Next, we're going to be adding another flex, an electric guitar by the name of Dark Star Metal preset. But we're just adding in a nice counter melody in there. And we're also going to be doing the classic pitch bend. And the way we do that is basically, if you have a MIDI keyboard, you can automate the pitch bend if you have the slider for it. And it comes out sounding super realistic and nice. To complement the guitar, make it sound a bit more realistic again, we're going to be adding a guitar rig amp, which has a bunch of effects including delay, distortion, saturation, that kind of thing. Next, I'm going to start working on these drums again, using the S1 drum sounds. And this is just a sub bass layer from the S1 kit as well, just to complement that kit, give it a bit of low end thump. So we're messing with the key using Sound Shifter, and I think I found a key which I prefer. I think it went down to B minor or maybe C minor, and it sounds amazing. So right here is where I'm starting basically like a B section for this beat, a completely different direction for like basically like almost like a breakdown or like a bridge or something. And it all started from this piano melody which I'm doing right here. And to complement that, we're going to be using the same sort of instruments with just a completely different pattern. So the first one being the strings we were using earlier. You can see here we've actually stacked the piano up twice with 2 different octaves. Like we said before, the layers, you know, you really want to just build up not only your sounds but also your octaves as well if you can. So I have now passed the beat on to Link, who we've worked with a few times before on the channel. Basically, he's going to be polishing this beat off. I sent him a solid foundation, a solid idea. And the first thing he's doing is just changing the notes on the bass. Next thing he's doing is exported out the clap sound, and he's going to automate this one to basically go from quiet to loud again with a volume automation, which is what he's doing right here. Next, he's adding in a new synth bass sound instead of our guitar bass. And to make it a bit more unique, he's added this plugin from Nicky Romero called Kickstart, and basically it just adds like a sidechain effect to it, and it's a really cool effect actually. I really like it. Right here, he's just working on an outro section, so he's adding just a one shot from our choir sample, and then with a little bit of delay on it, just to spice it up a little bit more. So the first thing going to add to this beat is going to be some session strings from Contact. I believe this is I think it might be a Spitfire Lab, I'm not too sure, I have to ask him, but yeah, so basically this is going to be like just like a bunch of strings playing the same melody. As I said before, and I'm going to say it again, layers, man. The next thing he's going to add is a Spitfire solo violin from Contact, and this one was like my favorite thing he added. I love the way it sounds. It makes the beat sound so like emotional and just lovely. So you can see here with these session strings, we've literally got about 3 or 4 octaves on this one sound alone. Like, so you can see how full our beat is becoming, but because it's, you know, it's done properly, it sounds great. It doesn't sound busy, it's just full. There's a difference, you know, so. Next thing he's adding is going to be an arcade, and he was messing around in Nashville after I recommended it to him, trying to find like some electric guitar riffs, and this is the one he came up with. The last few things he's going to add are going to be some drum sounds, just like an open hat and like a little snare, you know, just to add that little extra bit of detail to the drum sounds, a little bit of bounce. And the final instrument he's going to be adding is going to be Sessions horns from Contact. I just wanted to have like a trumpet on this beat, just like something like all the light. He started off with a lower melody, sort of like just like the bass notes to go along with one of our sections. And then he also copy and pasted our melody that we've been using and added multiple octaves to bring this really full sounding horn, you know, section to the beat. That sounds unreal. So that is the beat done. This beat took around about, I want to say 8 hours combined between myself and Link to make this, maybe even longer. And it went through a lot of changes, so we really put a lot of time into this one. So I'm going to let the full beat play in just a second, and I'll check in with you guys in the outro. That was the beat. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Before we end though, I've still got some more content for you guys to enjoy. That is obviously the beat making part of the video done. So if that's all you're here for, then by all means, thank you for watching. But if you want to learn a bit more about the album and hear it from a producer who worked with Kanye on this album very closely, I've got a 5-minute cut from my 30-minute talk with S1, who produced the song Power from My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, as well as a bunch of other Kanye songs, but we'll get into that in the future. So yeah, I got 5 minutes for you guys to watch right now. If you want to access the full 30-minute interview uncut, where we talk about a lot more stuff to do with Kanye and a lot more interesting stories, all you have to do is click the link down in the description and I'll email the video to you straight away. That's all for today. Enjoy the interview. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, guys. Peace.
How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm doing good, bro. How are you?
Doing pretty good, man.
Thanks so much for giving me your time. I really appreciate it. The fans as well, like, yeah, we're super grateful to have someone on board, like, with the videos who has actually worked on the project we're covering. It's crazy. It's so nuts. Like, yeah, so thanks again for that. So the first thing I just want to ask you is what is it like working with Kanye compared to other artists?
Man, it's great. I really have been blessed to be able to work with Kanye, because prior to me working with him, he was always like a big influence on my career, my music, and, you know, creatively. I would say the biggest thing is he allows you to be yourself in the room. Like, that's what he wants. Like, when he would give me specific projects, it was always like, yo, just do you. So that's the one thing I love about him. And he didn't put a box on creativity, obviously. The best idea, no matter who's in the room, I don't care if it's the biggest producer in the world or the upcoming producer who's never had a placement, the best idea will always win. We was working in Hawaii, and the way it was, the way the studio was structured, they had 2 main rooms. The main room on the bottom floor and up front, and then they had other little rooms where other producers were cooking up as well. But there would be several producers, artists, songwriters working on the same song in different rooms. Just okay. And nobody knows what anybody's doing. They're just doing their version of what they feel like it should be. And then Kanye is really good at listening to everything and taking the best pieces to create something completely new from it.
So obviously you produced the track Power on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. One thing that I would love to know is where did you get that iconic sample from, the vocal sample?
Back in the day, I used to get online, and it was, I can't remember the site. It was a blog site, and it was this DJ, international DJ, and he collect records. And what he would do, he would travel the world, collect records, and then he would post it on his blog. And it would have the album cover. It'd have a little description about what the album was. And then he would have a download link where you could download the album. So I would go to this blog site literally every day just to see what he had new on it and download it. That particular sample I got from Continent number 7. Yeah, number 6, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
Afro-America.
Yeah. And I just randomly downloaded it from his blog one day, and I was going through, looking through the samples that I had downloaded, and I came across that particular one, and I automatically knew, like, yo, this could be something special. You know, we all do this as producers, but the first time I messed with the sample, it was like, it could be better. So yeah. I would come back to it like a week later, work on it again, and be like, I feel like I could maximize it a little bit more. So it was maybe like the 3rd or 4th time I worked on that, and I was like, yo, this is it.
Did you ever kind of hear Kanye on that record, like, as you were making it at all, or was it completely like a surprise when he picked that beat?
In a sense, I did, because that original beat, when I made the beat, it was actually for Rhymefest, who's the person that introduced my music to Kanye. So I originally did it for him, but I hadn't sent it to him yet. He's out working with Kanye, and he hits me up like, yo, you got anything for Kanye? And I just wound up like, yo, I hadn't sent this to him yet, so I might as well put this in the Kanye batch. So that's how that kind of came about.
Okay, that's so interesting where like beats end up, you know, you just never know like what
you
you're gonna
never know
who's gonna end up with it.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
You never know, bro.
You made the beat before you connected with Kanye. Did the beat go through many changes from like the original version you sent him to the version we hear today?
Oh, it went through so many changes. So when I first heard the beat, it was like my original beat. I did the beat, it got to Kanye. He loved it. He flew me out to Hawaii. And the first day that I got to the studio out there, he was like, yo, I already recorded something to this beat. It was amazing, but it was a completely different version. Different verses, different chorus. Like the chorus, he had actually chopped up Marvel characters saying power. So it was like power. He had just morphed them and merged them all together to where they was cut saying a hook, and he was saying things in between. You know, so that was the original version. And then throughout the process of working on the album, it probably went through probably maybe 20 plus more versions.
It's so interesting you said there about him chopping in people saying power. Like that's just something that like normal producers would never think to do, and that's just Kanye.
It was insane, man. It was crazy.